don't know what I've said, but a lot of people have moved out. But anyway, now we're going to head out and up to Mon Repos, the turtle centre. I've tried very hard to see if I can see the little turtles hatching, but to book in to one of their tours, there's a 2-year waiting list. And I haven't got 2 years to wait. So I'm going to go down to the centre. I had to book online last night to get in. Mon Repos. Here I come. Mon Repos Turtle Centre. Welcome to our country. Dedicated to marine turtle research. Nesting hub. Mon Repos is the largest nesting hub for marine turtles on the East Australian mainland coast, the most significant loggerhead turtle nesting population in the South Pacific Ocean region. Static displays and hands-on turtle journeys. Anything but easy. 3 species, thousands of stories. Alright, let's give it a go. Touch to reveal your turtle. Don't forget, the next video is in 5 minutes.
Okay, one of my favourite videos. This video has got a turtle coming up. I'm going to tell you, this is a loggerhead turtle. We can tell from those tracks what sort of turtle's been on the beach. She's going to work her way up to above the highest tide line. She's going to body pit. So what she's doing here is she's clearing an area to dig her nest. She digs a hole about 2 feet or 60 centimetres deep. Then she inserts herself into that hole. She lays her eggs in there, and then she fills it in, and then she goes back to the ocean. Keep an eye on the area where she laid the eggs. What happens is the hatchlings, when they all hatch at the same time. So that's what we're seeing on the beach at nights at the moment. Mostly loggerheads, and occasional bunch of flatbacks as well, and occasionally greens. Okay, so off they go down the beach with a very characteristic fan. They call it a hatchling fan. So there you go.
Well, that was pretty cool. Displays. Love the videos. Well worth it. Back outside. More displays. 7. Souvenirs. And coffee. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gidgee art. So bright. Must take forever to do. Outside, and just a short walk through well-maintained gardens, we have the auditorium, where I assume they give the briefing for the night tours. I'm so disappointed I didn't get to do that. Northern Boardwalk. How pretty is it through here? Access to the beach. This is a famous beach where the turtles lay their eggs and hatch. Between October and April, the beach was closed from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's almost like a special privilege to be able to get out here and even have a look. That being said, let's go and have a look. The yellow ribbons possibly marking a turtle nest. Pretty hard to spot. Just being very careful where to walk. Something going on here. Turtle eggs incubating. Do not disturb. Heading across the road was this fella. Where's he going? Looking at me, wondering what I'm doing. Not going anywhere. Now he is. These guys are everywhere. Smaller than the last one. I believe it's a carpet python. I'll check that out at a later date. Now, I'm going to head into Bundaberg. I thought I might go and have a look at the Bert Hinkler Hall of Aviation. I've driven past it a few times and never had the time to call in, so now I'm here with a couple of hours to kill. I might just go and have a look and see what it's all about. Bundaberg. The Hinkler Hall of Aviation. Mankind has always had a desire to soar through the air. Early attempts using bird-like wings and feathers often ended in tragedy. Not until 1783, when two Frenchmen, Pilatre de Rosier and the Marquis d'Irlandais, flew in a hot air balloon, did man head towards the clouds. The first controlled, powered flight, it is generally accepted, was that of the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, who on the 17th of December 1903 managed the first controlled, sustained flight of a powered, heavier-than-air aircraft. A young Bert Hinkler, sharing the same fascination with flight, set about designing his own flying machine. Inspired by the ibis, Bert constructed a glider in the backyard of his family home. Upon completion, the glider was towed to Mon Repos. With the assistance of his family, strapped to his machine, he was launched from the top of the dunes. On the second attempt, the glider was picked up by the sea breezes, and Bert's dream of flight had become a reality. Not long after, Bert met Wizard Stone, who was displaying his Blériot monoplane at Bundaberg. Helping the American airmen to solve a problem with the wings proved fruitful for Bert, as he was invited to join him on a tour of New Zealand. The tour was cut short when Bert was involved in a serious accident. Returning home to recover, and after a short stint in Sydney, Bert boarded a ship for England, where he was engaged by the Sopwith Aircraft Company.
But before too long, the drums of World War I started beating. He served in France and Italy as a mechanic, observer and pilot. And near the end of this war to end all wars, was given an officer's commission. Like many pilots, Hinkler had difficulty settling after the war. But one thing caught his interest: the Commonwealth prize of £10,000 for a successful flight back to Australia. His initial choice of aircraft was the Sopwith Dove, but during time trials, he became acquainted with the A.V. Rowan Company designers. Eventually, he decided on an experimental Avro Baby and quietly set about planning his life's ambition, a globe-hopping solo flight home to Australia.
Bert set off on the 31st of May 1920. Only getting as far as Italy, he was forced to postpone his plans as war had broken out in the Middle East, making further travel impossible. 8 years after his first attempt, Bert once again set off to fly from England to Australia, this time in a specially modified Avro Avian. For 15.5 days, he leapfrogged across continents, having his fair share of adventures along the way. In Darwin, his first stop in Australia, he was greeted by a huge crowd. By now, Bert Hinkler, the boy from Bundaberg, was an international hero. Eventually, after fighting incredible odds, he landed at Ascot Raceway in Brisbane, where he was greeted by tens of thousands of adoring fans. A record Australian crowd of 12,000 people cheered Hinkler's landing at Ascot Racecourse, and thousands more lined the streets of Brisbane to glimpse Bert and his Avro as they made their way to a state welcome at City Hall. British Australian Motors in Brisbane offered him the use of the Armstrong Siddeley for the possession and the duration of his stay. Many thanks for the offer of the card, which it will give me great pleasure to accept, Bert said. Not to rest on his laurels, in 1931, Bert completed his record-setting solo flight across the South Atlantic in the de Havilland Portsmouth CF-APK. The flight is considered Bert Hinkler's greatest feat. The Atlantic crossing was a challenge for early aviators. Ground communication was virtually non-existent, and the open sea was treacherous. 2,000 miles, no land, no fuel. This building once sat over 16,000 kilometres away amongst the oak trees of Thornhill Estate in Shoaling, Southampton, England. Built in 1925, it was named Mon Repos after the Bundaberg beach where the young Bert Hinkler tested his homemade gliders. Bert shared Mon Repos with his partner, Nance Jarvis, from 1925 until his death in 1933. By 1983, there was a growing enthusiasm towards the idea of bringing Bert's English home, Mon Repos, to Bundaberg. With government support, by May that year, the money was raised. Brick by brick, the house was dismantled and shipped to Australia. The rebuild commenced in October. 5 months later, in March the following year, the project was completed. Fully restored to its early 20th century decor, the home is decorated with many of Bert's original possessions. Photographs line the walls depicting many of the people he knew and the incredible things he achieved. Mon Repos, as does the Hinkler Hall of Aviation, now sits amongst the flora and fauna of the Bundaberg Botanical Gardens. Many creatures, including the ibis, Bert's inspiration, also call the gardens home.